Doors of sharing, durian ASEAN.
Hi, this is Gowri. You're listening to DurianASEAN.com. Good morning to everybody. We are starting with our ASEAN breakfast call for this morning. And it's finally a Friday, and it's 8 o'clock right now. And before we move on to our news for this morning, just to skim through a few headlines where just to go through what's happening in the world right now. We have an ongoing conflict in Libya, in Gaza. We have the Ukrainian unrest and also the Ebola outbreak that's the recent death being Dick Smith. And apart from that, we also have a 6.1 magnitude earthquake that happened in Yunnan, China, killing at least 589 people and injures more than 2,400 people. And at least 15 soldiers have died in clashes between Armenia and Azerbaijan. And finally, gas explosions in Kaohsiung, Taiwan kills at least 30 people and injure 300 others. And heavy rains trigger a landslide in the Pune district of India, killing more than 130 people. And to go back a little bit back in time to see what else happened today in history. In 1944, IBM presented the first program-controlled calculator to Harvard University, after which it became known as Mark I. In 1970, Jonathan Jackson kidnapped California Superior Court Judge Harold Haley in an attempt to free Jackson's brother George from prison. And in 2008, Georgia launched a large-scale military offensive against the separatist region of South Ossetia, opening the six-day Russo-Georgian War. And with that, let's move on to our ASEAN Breakfast Call news session for today, the Friday, 8th of August. And we have the first Malaysian victim identified from MH17, according to The Star. And 3 weeks after the flight, MH17 was shot down with 298 people on board. The first Malaysian victim have been identified, sources said. And the victim is a Penangite named Elaine Teo, who is 27 years old, and she is believed to be the first victim to be identified by the forensic experts. And the Melbourne University alumna was said to have been identified between 2 to 4 days ago. Both the police and MAS authorities were said to have sent representatives to inform Theo's parents about the identification. And it is learned that her Dutch boyfriend, with whom Theo was traveling from Amsterdam to Kuala Lumpur, still had yet to be identified at press time. And Theo and Malor were both working in the financial sector in Melbourne and were bound for Kuala Lumpur after holidaying in Portugal and Holland. And it was also reported earlier that Theo's best friend, Tan Suk Teng, had been scheduled to pick up the couple at the KL International Airport upon their arrival on the 18th of July. And last week, Prime Minister Datuk Seri Najib Tun Razak has said that the disaster victim identification examinations of the remaining 226 coffins transported from the crash site at Donetsk, Ukraine, should be completed first. And Najib also said that that this was so that the international investigation team could arrive at a conclusion beyond any doubt about the victim's identity and before any information was released. And it's a great thing that they have finally identified someone, and I'm trying to get in touch with the family, and I hope that they will continue their search in the area and try and identify as many people as they can and get back to their families as soon as possible, because I'm sure they're all waiting impatiently to find out what happened to their loved ones, and also to get their body back for a proper funeral, and also to have the final goodbye. Moving on to Selangor, where we have another issue of water crisis, where the Selangor residents are told that they may have to brace for another water rationing exercise months after the last one that affected more than 60% of the households. I still remember very clearly the last time there was a water crisis in KL when PJ was badly affected, and there was no water every other day, and it was it was a bit of a hassle to collect the water every day, and sometimes you forget, and that gets really inconvenient. And it seems like it's about to happen again because the state government is reportedly keeping all options open as it decides on the need for another water rationing exercise, which is a bit peculiar considering that it has been raining pretty consistently the last couple of months, and yet we are still having this water shortage crisis. And the Selangor Exco in charge of infrastructure and public amenities, Dr. Ahmad Yunus Hairi, said the decision would be announced after a meeting at the Selangor Economic Action Council level today. We will let you know if there's going to be a water rationing after the MTES meeting, he said when he was met at the lobby of the State Secretariat building after the Executive Council meeting. He also said that the water crisis was not discussed at the Exco meeting yesterday and refused to comment on the chances of water rationing being implemented. Well, I would foresee that a lot of people would be unhappy about this, and we probably need better water harvesting techniques. Could probably bring someone in and go about doing this, because it just doesn't make sense to have a water rationing every 3 or 4 months or so, because we are receiving very consistent rainfall, and it's not like we're in the desert or it's constantly dry here. It's actually pretty humid, so we should by right be getting consistent water supply instead of water rationing. And he also said that there is still enough water at the ponds and the quality is still safe. But he mentioned something about water thefts being at 30% to 34%. And we will try to reduce the percentage significantly after the state takes over the water industry. In a press statement issued yesterday, Dr. Ahmad Yunus said that quality tests on pond samples conducted by the health department showed that heavy metal residue was below the permitted amount and complied with standards. Alternative water supply from ponds can provide raw water until October, when the southwest monsoon begins. The monsoon is expected to bring a higher amount of rainfall, and hopefully as soon as October arrives, we will have no more water shortage problem or water rationing, as Dr. Ahmad Yunus said here that it is expected to definitely bring a higher amount of rainfall and therefore a higher water supply. And Dr. Ahmad Yunus also commented on safety measures for the hybrid off-river augmented system operations, saying that security had been increased with help from the police and RELA officers. And the HORAS is a stormwater harvesting system and accumulation of groundwater. The facility has been the target of 2 sabotage acts so far in the recent weeks. In the first, several armed men harassed the guards, but no accidents were reported. But just less than 2 weeks later, several men again intruded the area, spoiling several pumps in the facility. So, to all the people in Selangor, just be prepared. There might be a water rationing soon enough, or there might not be. We'll have to wait and see what the final decision is. And moving on to CIMB donating 1 million for relief mission in Gaza. So CIMB Islamic Bank has contributed 1 million ringgit to Mercy Malaysia towards its mission to provide relief in the conflict-torn Gaza. The funds will go into helping the non-governmental body send medical aid, food, and other basic necessities for those affected in the war-ravaged area. According to the bank, the contribution will also be used to fund the NGO's collaborative work with the UN Relief and Works Agency for Palestine refugees. Executive Director and CEO Batlisha Abdul Ghani handed over the check to Mercy Malaysia President Dato Dr. Ahmad Faisal Firdaus during a ceremony at the bank's headquarters in Kuala Lumpur on Wednesday. And Batlisha also said that they hope that the contribution would help to bring relief to those in need. And this is definitely a very good move done by CIMB following their corporate social responsibility, and actually parting with 1 million ringgit, which is a huge amount of money, towards Mercy Malaysia, so that they can go to Gaza and help out the people there. As we all know, the conflict in Israel-Palestine is still ongoing, and they definitely need all the help that they can get. And as Malaysians, of course, we take our stand against Israel, and wish that we don't recognize Israel as a state, as a sovereign state. And of course, we are for Palestine, and we are against whatever crime, war, and atrocity that's being committed there right now. And we have been sending people from Mercy to help them out, to provide medical aid, to provide them food and whatever other helps that they need, especially for all the women and children who are hurt, innocent lives that were taken away from the school. And I hope that this money will be helpful for them. And if any of you want to donate, you can always go to the Facebook page of Aman Palestine and make your contributions there. So moving on to Myanmar now, from Malaysia, where the religious clashes and press freedom frustrating international community. So Myanmar faces being called to account for stalling reforms when it hosts a top global diplomats at a security forum later this week, with religious clashes and curbs on press freedom taking the sheen off its emergence from military rule. The former pariah nation has enjoyed praise since a quasi-civilian government launched ambitious political and economic reforms 3 years ago, heralding the end of most Western sanctions. And several Western nations have actually raised concerns over rights issues in Myanmar in the recent weeks, but the main message is likely to come from U.S. Secretary of State John Kerry as he tests the water ahead of a possible visit by President Barack Obama later this year. And the meetings of the ASEAN Association of Southeast Asian Nations will begin as regional foreign minister talks on Friday and widen to include world powers over the weekend, will likely to be dominated by ASEAN wrangles with Beijing over the South China Sea. But Kerry is also likely to seek raise Myanmar's rights record. And Myanmar's human rights issue is definitely something that should be brought up at the meeting, because as you all already know about the discrimination that's happening towards the Rohingya Muslims in Myanmar, and they have been having all these ethnic conflicts for a very, very long time, and they are heading towards democracy. They are heading for a reform next year in their 2015 elections, and in order to be a democratic country and to achieve the reform they want, human rights is something that they should definitely look at, and something that they should pay attention to, because every individual in the country deserve to have their basic rights, especially their citizenship, of being recognized as a citizen in the country, and also to not be subject to discrimination, and to receive the same treatment as everyone else is receiving, and entitled to the same benefits, the same privileges, as opposed to being discriminated because of their religious belief. And talks on Sunday for the ASEAN Regional Forum are set to bring the regional bloc together with leading diplomats from global powers, including China, the European Union, and the United States, which has touted Myanmar's reform as a key foreign policy success. Many of the Western powers have a lot invested in Myanmar's successful transition story, and issues such as the religious violence and the erosion of press freedom that takes place. That narrative in peril, said Sean Turnell, associate professor at the Australia's Macquarie University. So from Myanmar, we move on to Thailand with the discovery of 9 babies that prompt Thai surrogacy probe. So Thailand has been in the headlines recently, not for the military junta. This time it's regarding this one Thai couple who were paid by this Australian couple to carry their baby. So this woman was being the surrogate mother for this Australian couple. But when she gave birth to the twins, this Australian couple only decided to take one baby with them because the other baby was diagnosed with Down syndrome, and the Australian couple did not want to have anything to do with it. So they actually took the girl and left her brother behind. And this, of course, drew a huge outcry from both the Australians and especially the people in Thailand, because this poor mother has to fend for the baby now, who also requires surgery, and she doesn't have the funds for it, obviously, which is why she agreed to the surrogacy plan in the first place, because she needed money to pay her bills, pay her rent. And even the agency that facilitated the process is not doing much about it, and people are still waiting for the Australian government to charge this couple or to get some justice for this surrogate mother in Thailand. So it seems that there's been a little more issue on surrogacy here, where the Thai police said on Thursday that they will carry out DNA tests on 9 babies found in mysterious circumstances in a Bangkok apartment, each with a supposed nanny, to determine the identity of their parents. The discovery follows the scandal that erupted after an Australian couple were accused of abandoning their baby boy with Down syndrome born to a Thai surrogate. There were no documents found with the 9 babies, but leading authorities at the emergency accommodation where they are being cared for too guess that they are aged between 2 weeks to 2 years old. And a Thai lawyer also, who was at the apartment at the time of Wednesday's raid, deepened the mystery by telling the police that all 9 babies were the children of an unnamed Japanese man. This is getting really interesting here, with first an Australian couple and now a Japanese man being responsible for 9 babies found in an apartment. And also present at the condominium in a city suburb were the 9 nannies and a pregnant woman who later said that she was acting as a surrogate mother. And the nannies told authorities that they were paid $310 a month to look after the children. It was not immediately clear, though, if the babies were also born to surrogate mothers. And I think that this is definitely something that the Thai officials should start looking into, because this is a very serious problem to have all the surrogate mothers who could probably don't know their rights while being in the process, and they could be treated the same way as the Australian couple did, and they could be just left behind, probably not paid after going through all that trouble of conceiving a baby and giving birth to the baby, when they are not paid, and they are just left behind and left to raise the baby by themselves. Do they have all the necessities to go about doing it? Do they have the money? Do they even have a house? Do they have access to healthy food for the baby? And can they even afford to raise the baby in the first place? And this is and also now that they've been discovering more babies and more surrogate issues, it's probably about time to address it and to come up with a proper a policy or something, an SOP or something that everyone can follow, and not oppress this woman. And a deputy national police chief from Thailand also said that we're investigating how these 9 babies came to be in that room. But police said it could take weeks to prove who their biological fathers and mothers are. And the Thai authorities have stepped up their scrutiny of surrogacy in the kingdom following the controversy of the Australian couple. The Thai surrogate mother said she agreed to carry the Thai donor's egg fertilized by the Australian man, as I reported earlier, for around $14,900. But the man, as was reported yesterday, I think, has been exposed as a convicted pedophile in Australia. And the Thai medical officials also say that surrogacy is illegal in Thailand unless it is done with a relative. And in the kingdom, offering money to carry a baby is actually outright prohibited. And I don't know if all these people are actually aware about that, because there is actually an agency that is facilitating this surrogacy between countries. So if it is really prohibited and illegal, then these officials should reach out to these agencies and start addressing the problem from there. And moving on to world news, we have Islamic State fighters extending gains in northern Iraq. So Islamic State militants have extended their gains in northern Iraq today, seizing more towns and strengthening a foothold near the Kurdish region, witnesses said, in an offensive that has alarmed the Baghdad government and regional powers. The advance came after Sunni militants inflicted a humiliating defeat on Kurdish forces in a weekend sweep in north, and this is reported by the Sun Daily. And the witnesses also said that militants had seized Makmur, but Kurdish officials told local media that their forces remain in control there, and television channels broadcast footage of Peshmerga fighters driving around the town. So the militants' capture of the town Sinjar, ancestral home of the Yazidi ethnic minority, prompted tens of thousands of people to flee to surrounding mountains where they are at risk of starvation. So these Iraqi Kurds, their recent territorial gains have sparked widespread speculation that they may soon be able to realize their Kurdish dream of a statehood. But over the past few weeks, these excited Kurds around the world have rallied in support of independence. And the Kurds were appearing to be gaining an edge on some of those disputes, especially when the ISIS, the Islamic State of Iraq and Greater Syria, took over Mosul last June, pushing the Iraqi army to abandon many of its positions in northern Baghdad. And Iraq is, according to Khalil Saleh from The Time, he said that Iraq is a failing country and the Kurds are better off than the rest of the country. But their own weaknesses and limitations curb their chances of triumphantly breaking away from it until and unless there is no longer an Iraq to break away from. So that will be all for the news session this morning. Don't forget to listen to us again next Monday. We'll be back with more ASEAN news for you on DurianASEAN.com. Don't forget to like us on Facebook and follow us on Twitter. Also, do subscribe to our YouTube channel where we upload our podcast from the news and from the other 2 shows every day. And we also have a video under our Durian ASEAN TV. And if you're on the move and you want to listen to us, just download the TuneIn app on your smartphone and look for Durian ASEAN. My name is Gowri. I'm signing off right now. I'll see you in a bit for our Blast from the Grassroots session.